The headlines say Boston's slowing down, but when you look at what's actually being built across the city and suburbs, it tells a completely different story. Today I'm going to show you some of the biggest developments happening right now in Boston and nearby towns, including new housing, biotech campuses, and massive redevelopment projects that will bring thousands of new residents and jobs to the area. Let's start with one of the biggest projects currently planned in Boston. It's happening in South Boston, right along the waterfront, at the site of a former 15-acre power plant site at 776 Summer Street called L Street Station. For decades, this massive industrial building powered the city, but now developers are transforming the entire site into a brand new neighborhood. The plan includes more than 600 apartments, multiple buildings, retail space, and a new public access to the waterfront. But what makes this project especially interesting is that parts of the original power plant are actually being saved. The historic turbine halls, these huge industrial spaces, will be preserved and built into the new design. So instead of tearing everything down, they're blending Boston's history with modern development. And this location is really amazing. South Boston and the Seaport have become some of the most desirable neighborhoods in the city, especially for people working in tech, finance, and biotech. So adding hundreds of new apartments here could bring thousands of new residents into the area over the next several years. This one is still in the planning and permitting stages, but I'm excited to see what it will look like. Another change happening across Boston is the city is actually turning office buildings into apartments. After the pandemic, many companies reduced their office space that left a lot of older buildings sitting partially empty. So Boston launched a program encouraging developers to convert those buildings into housing. Several projects are already moving forward. Buildings like 263 Summer Street, 129 Portland Street, and 281 Franklin Street are all part of this effort. And if the program continues expanding, it could create more than 1,000 or 1,500 new housing units downtown. It's a great solution, instead of building from scratch, the city is repurposing existing buildings to help address the housing shortage. Outside of downtown, Boston neighborhoods are also seeing a steady pipeline of new housing. For example, in East Boston, a project called the Day Square Apartments is expected to add about 170 new residential units. A local developer has begun work on its latest large-scale project to replace a former industrial property with housing in the neighborhood. They have broken ground to begin building a 170-unit housing development in Day Square. The project has received a building permit. The work is estimated at $43 million, with construction scheduled to be complete in late 2026 or early 2027. This development will bring more housing close to Logan Airport and just minutes from downtown. Projects like this may not be massive skyscrapers, but they still make a difference. Across neighborhoods like Jamaica Plain, Hyde Park, and East Boston, smaller apartment developments are adding dozens, sometimes even hundreds of new homes, which is so important. And when you add them all together, they slowly increase housing supply in areas that have historically been very tight. Now let's step outside the city for a moment, because some of the biggest developments are happening along Route 128 corridor. One of the largest planned projects is a 1.5 million square foot life sciences campus in Dedham called the Campus at 128. Spanning almost 60 acres. The campus at 128 will drive economic growth with approximately 1 million square feet dedicated to life science, tough tech, retail, medical, hotel, and related office space, a major draw for high-value employers and fresh business opportunities. The proposed residential units, including a mix of market rate and affordable housing, and potentially 55+ housing will help address the current housing needs in Dedham. And projects like this have a ripple effect. Biotech companies bring high-paying jobs, and when they expand, it increases housing demand in nearby towns like Needham, Westwood, Dover, and Dedham. It will shape the entire regional housing market. One of the newest additions is the South Station Tower, a 51-story skyscraper built directly above South Station. South Station Tower is an iconic and redefining addition to the Boston skyline. It includes Ritz-Carlton residencies with all the luxury amenities they provide. And South Station is one of the most important transportation hubs in New England, connecting commuter rail, Amtrak, and subway lines. So it's an amazing location. And living above the South Station means you can be wherever you want to be in a few minutes, really. It's a way to add more housing and office space while keeping people connected to public transportation. This one is completed already, so you can see it when you visit. And finally, we have to talk about the Seapport district. Over the last decade, this area has completely transformed. What used to be parking lots and old warehouses is now one of the fastest growing neighborhoods in the entire city. I love Seapport. And one of the biggest projects driving that growth is Seapport Square, a 23-acre master plan development. When it's fully built out, it will include dozens of buildings, retail, offices, and thousands of residential units. And it's one of the reasons the Seaport continues to attract companies, restaurants, and new residents every year. So what does all of this actually mean if you are thinking about moving to the Boston area? First, despite headlines about market slowdowns, Boston continues to attract major investment in housing, biotech, and infrastructure. Second, new development tends to cluster around job centers like Kendall Square, the Seaport, and the Route 128 biotech corridor in the future. And finally, even though new housing is being built, demand for living in this region remains extremely strong, which is why home prices in many Boston suburbs have continued to rise, even while some other markets in the country have cooled. If you're relocating to the Boston area and trying to figure out which Boston neighborhood will be the right fit for your family, you can reach out to me. All my contact information is in the description below. My name is Nouné. I'm always happy to hear from you. Here's the QR code. I work with many relocation clients every year, and I'll be happy to navigate the Boston market with you.